So I'm back with a brand new run, and this one is going to be for chess combat, and it's not going to be a meme run this time. This time it is. I'm calling. Well, actually, it's what it is. It would be a 100% run of chess combat on maximum difficulty. That's the wrong mode. But what a 100% would mean for chess combat would just be to kill everybody on the enemy team, all of their leader, the grunts, shifters, sorcerers, champion, and a leader. Now, you can pick pretty much anyone you want, but the only two that you probably should 100% have on your team will be Cobra and Darius. Cobra is the well-known deception speedrun choice, and Darius is just as strong as Cobra with his gauntlets combo, doing around 30%. But other than that, your leader, your sorcerer, shifter, should be pretty much anybody you can play well casually. But your champion and grunts should be Darius and Cobra. Personally, myself, I'm going to put my leader as Sub-Zero, my champion as Cobra, my sorcerers as Melina, my shifters as Baraicho, and my grunts as Darius. Baraicho is also a pretty decent pick for just a for a fast but also really strong combo, doing about 30% as well, going from sumo to bojutsu. Timing starts just like in regular chess combat, so like right now I set my first trap, and then the best strategy will probably just to be start with the same way that you would a regular run, but instead of going for a champion, you go for a sorcerer, you go for the shifter, and your run will just be ruined because they're going to actually, well, I was expecting a kill, but that just means that we can take the time that we were given. We're not going to want to put our grunts or anything. That's what I was scared of. They're going to do this. They're going to probably they're going to put Jade there. They're going to do that. But what you're going to want to do is put your shifters on the health pads. That way you can get the most amount of health through each match. They're probably going to teleport me. Oh, no. Usually what they would do is teleport you onto like their death traps. I probably should actually take my champion out of the range, just so they can't attack me, which is what I'm going to want to do regardless. Now we're going to try to set up this Darius over here so we can get Baraicho to head over to the next health pad, which he can just barely reach, and I will gain 50% each turn, each fight that we take. This will allow us to begin taking out their fighters. Which these fights is just, your normal Mortal Kombat. There's nothing special you can do other than spam this combo. This is the one pro that Cobra does have over Darius, that I believe is that the AI typically will stop blocking and try to hit you during the last rotation of the Kali sticks, which will give you a hit on them most of the time. Okay, so this gives longevity to our champions. It allows us to not need to waste our resurrection so early. But we might need to use it anyway because of this Night Wolf giving me incredible problems right now. Never mind. Now, the enemy champions are probably one of the things that we want to take out last. So we're going to retreat. We actually baited out the sorcerer, so now they can't do heals and resurrect, which they already use in that. Yeah, it does like to do resurrection, especially on their first kill. That's why the champion's probably not the best one to kill first in this run. So just for that very reason. In fact, a grunt might actually be even better to do over the shifter, just for the fact that you're forcing a lower health fighter to be resurrected over a higher health like a shifter or a champion, which is something you should probably try to avoid as much as possible. Right, if you can kill the grunt, if you can kill the blue sorcerer as quick as possible, that can even be a better strategy. But the strategy that I'm using, I'm just trying to bait it out. Trying to use Cobra as much as I can, but Darius is going to be a big pick as well. But since the grunts have the lowest amount of health next to the sorcerers, it's definitely best to try to refrain from using them as much, just so we don't have to waste as many of our spells and time. So we are going to use Imprison. We're going to imprison the sorcerer, because then what that does is it prevents them from using their orange abilities. They can no longer use fire, or they can no longer use kill and stuff like that, which allows us to be a little bit more aggressive. She is going to go for our we're gonna start taking our grunts and kind of moving around. They are gonna start the fight with a shifter, and since it's a shifter versus shifter, neither one of them shift because it's not gonna swap our characters. That was unfortunate, because now we're gonna have to try to get them off of the health pad, because if they keep that, they're definitely gonna be able to out-duel us. Now this is the time that we're gonna want to put our champion on the other side, and so we can take the shifter on in a fair fight. And since she is sitting on the health patch, she's going to get a full 100% HP, which is really unfortunate because she was one hit away. Now we took the health pack back, but again, like earlier in the run, we're going to have to move Cobra off of that and replace him with hopefully a shifter, but we are probably going to have to use a grunt. He's just wasting turns. He's waiting for me to make a move. Which is perfect because then it gives us time to switch out Cobra for Borrego. They are going to move out their champion. Never mind, they're not going to. Alright, now they're going to move their champion. Which is a little unfortunate. And we can't really bait them. And because the AI chooses a target, and that's what they're going to go for. Which is Melina. Which is unfortunate because I'm not very good at Melina. Just the only really downside to having your shifter on there is because when the AI just wants to when the AI decides that it wants to go after you with, say, Melina or Li Mei, really anything that's kind of like a really like unsuitable like fight, it kind of could kill the run, especially if you aren't very good at the character. Thankfully, there's that exploit with Melina's that they don't really block your sky kicks, which is why Melina could be a good shifter pick just in general. But that's not what I went for. Although I know that they still do have their shifter, their kill ability. So I do have to be careful for that. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to use one of our grunts to kind of bait this sorcerer. Kind of force this sorcerer to kind of come towards us, and we'll have to fight them. Just gives us the best possible opportunity to win because they still do have sacrifice and kill, which sacrifice won't really hurt us, as sacrifice just kills one of your pieces and gives one of your other pieces a full amount of health. But kill could really be a pain for us. Thankfully, the sorcerers are really low health, so once you get into a fight with them, it's almost a guarantee. Especially when it's Tanya. If Tanya can get you into a combo, it might, she can do a lot of damage, but especially when she's a sorcerer, she's nothing to worry about. However, we are going to have to immediately fight this Night Wolf if we are going to want to have a chance here at winning. We are going to try to go for a more defensive play, force their Nightwolf into our Cobra. And now we are actually going to use Kill. And we're going to kill this Shifter. Because we want to try to get as high of a health character to die as fast as we can. And that will also give us the opportunity to just get rid of the Sorcerer. And then we're going to heal our Grunt that's up here on the left. Because we don't need the orange spells anymore because they are no longer needed for us because we can't use them anymore. We do want to make sure that champion up there, that Melina, does not get in our way. And we do not fight her. Because if we fight her, then it's chances are we're going to lose to her. Because she has a lot more health than we do. We're going to save her and the champion for last. However, one thing that we can't do is get checkmate. Because if we get checkmate, then it will not count because we did not kill the champion. We did not kill the leader. Which will not give us the annihilation line that we need. However, as long as every character on the board dies on the enemy team, that's how you get the annihilation. So whether they die to a trap or they die to a spell, you can still get them. You can still get it that way. However, if you get checkmate when you have the leader unable to move without still having be forced to fight one of your pieces, then it will just end the game there, leaving you with one space and one piece left. Yeah, we're gonna lose this champion here. That was really unfortunate. Because that Grunt is 1 health. So we're actually not going to fight it. What we're actually going to do is start moving our Grunt in for a fight. However, one thing that's really going to scare me is the fact that I might have to sacrifice one mighty. But we do have our resurrection still, and we are going to use it. While this Grunt's basically going in for a valiant death, I just probably try to chip off some of the health that's on one of my other Grunts. So if we gotta kind of try to now force their pieces to fight us just by kind of trying to stay close to them, because then we can do stuff like that and bait them into fighting. Because now what we can do is we can fight this Grunt, and then we can fight the Grunt next to him if he doesn't fight us on his own. And then we do get the full heal every single time unless we drop down past 50%. Or 60 if we get the attacker bonus. Which we only got hit once, which won't count towards anything. Because the only time that your health decreases is when you surpass what you were originally at. Okay, so one thing that we are going to have to be worried about now is his champion is now going for a suicide almost. So they are also going to be baiting my move over to so we're going to take our champion against their champion now, get them out of the way, and then we have basically full range of the entire board to take out these remaining grunts before we go for the leader. Our first target's going to be that Night Wolf that is trying to go for our side of the board. Then we just gotta hope that the enemy leader doesn't reach the opposing side. So we took out the leader, the champion, and so now we are pretty much safe for the rest of the run. Unless, like, one of these Night Wolves pull off a random combo out of nowhere. He is going to try to go for a suicide attempt on our champion to try to take him out. We shouldn't have any trouble with him, though. The plus 10% does kind of take quite a lot more damage for him. Alright, so now we just have the 2 remaining grunts and the champion, and then the run is over. With 2 remaining grunts. Which what we're going to do is just basically kind of walk around and try to force them to run into our team. What I am going to do is actually fight this grunt. And then as long as he doesn't move that grunt that's next to our Darius at the top of the board, we can take on him and then the leader with really anything that we want. So just to ensure that this leader has to take it a long way around our guys, he just, oh, alright, I was going to say, did he seriously just checkmate himself? But no, he didn't. So now we're going to take on this last grunt, and then Darius can take on whoever he wants, and then we can win and end the run. So I do say that the run will end when you see the message that says annihilation. So we're just gonna take him out with Cobra, because you can move and protect, but it will get rid of protect. But we don't need it anymore because now we can just take on Darius and end the run. So now he has no breakers, so now if we ever catch him with a combo, it's going to be a guaranteed hit throughout it all. And that's the run, pretty much. Now we just have to wait for the fatality. Time can either end when you get the last hit or when you receive the annihilation, but if you already know that you have it, I guess it could count either way. It's just kind of like a moderator choice, not really mine. Like it was when I was doing dog percent. But that is a run. 100%. This could definitely be done a lot faster. And there is the annihilation line, proving that we've beaten everything. Now, they only did win 2 matches, but we still were able to do it pretty quickly. And hopefully other people, or even myself, can take this time down a lot more, because it does have the potential to go lower, as you could see the 2 lost matches, as well as the amount of moves that it took. You could easily take a lot more, a lot less, depending on the way that the AI goes, and you're kind of like you're luck on where you're able to move. That does it for this run. Hopefully, this is insightful into a bit of chess combat, speedrunning. You really wouldn't think that something like this would take as much kind of RNG and skill in the game, but it surprisingly does, and it's still a lot of fun to play because it allows you to kind of play something that's a lot different from what Mortal Kombat has always was prior to this. And it's a great mode. It definitely deserves another shot in a future game, despite the game's kind of taking on a more serious tone in general. But that does it, and hopefully this run, or this category, can go on a lot further.